The day I topped the grade ranking list at Lincoln Honors Academy, I was over the moon. I couldn't wait to tell Emily Carter, the girl I used to call my queen, the one I planned to give my entire future to. I sent her the news, thinking she'd be proud, that she'd say something like, "I always knew you'd make it." But instead, she hit me back with sarcasm so sharp I thought I imagined it at first. "Really, James? How could you possibly get first place? Did your daddy buy the exam board? Also, Ryan Kim needs that scholarship more than you. You're a trust fund kid. Can't your family just let him have it?" I stood there holding my phone, the joy leaking out of me like air from a slashed tire. But I didn't argue. I just said, "Sure. I'll talk to the principal." And the next second, I sent the voice recording of our call to the school's admin. I added a simple note, "I'm requesting a transfer." Apparently, the rich aren't allowed to be first here. The principal called me in with a face like he'd seen a ghost. The investigation didn't take long. Emily got reprimanded. She blocked me. Her final message: "Don't ever talk to me again. I never want to see your face." And honestly, she didn't. Because when the new semester started, I had already transferred to Jefferson High, the best academic prep school in Boston. And my first placement test. Dead last. From top of the mountain to bottom of the pit. Beautiful. But hey, every emperor needs a proper struggle before he ascends the throne. That's how I saw it. My dad, Robert Walker, who everyone around jokingly calls the Emperor, because of how ridiculously successful he is, told me, "Son, Gauss had to ponder his theorems all night. You just use Gauss's formula before I finish my coffee." He'd say things like, "Newton came up with the laws of motion in his 20s, but you already know them at 16. I swear, if I had you earlier, I would have bought MIT instead of partnering with them." I puffed my chest like a cartoon lion cub and told him, why were they born before me? Were they just trying to beat me to the crown? He laughed but then turned serious. "The king never meets another king, James. You were born for this. I've watched you grow every day, and now I know it's time I passed the throne down. Make me proud." People think he's joking when he calls me the crown prince. But he's not. It's a whole thing with us. He'd always say, "If you want to wear the crown, you've got to carry the weight." So now that I'd flamed out of my old school and landed in the honors class of Jefferson High with the worst possible score, it was time to carry that weight. The kids at Jefferson weren't mean, but they weren't warm either. No one talked to me except one girl, Olivia Yu. She sat next to me, glanced at my zeroed-out test sheet, and laughed. "So, you really are a genius, huh?" I gave her a look. She raised her hands in surrender and added, "Hey, geniuses exist 1 in 10,000, right? This school has, like, 1,000 of them. Just be normal for now." I liked her instantly. She was quick, didn't fake smile, and knew how to read a room. I handed her a bottle of milk from my dad's factory, saying, "Classmate, I humbly request your tutoring services." She laughed and said, "You don't remember me, do you? Our dads used to be business partners. We met at some fancy party when we were little." "Oh. Right. That girl with the sharp tongue and better memory than me. Uncle Yu's daughter." My dad always said she was brilliant, but I tuned him out because he never stopped bragging about other people's kids. Now, I was the one needing her help. So I gave her a cheesy line, "I remember now. You were the prettiest girl at the party. No competition." She bonked her head on the desk to hide the red flushing up her neck. "Stop it. That was hypoglycemia, not blush." "Sure. We'll go with that." Our homeroom teacher walked in strict, no-nonsense woman and immediately got to business. No time for introductions. No cliques. Just math, science, and ambition. This place had a pulse, and it beat to the rhythm of test scores. With Olivia's help, I caught up fast. But not everyone was on board. Nathan Reed, the class monitor, had this look that said he'd already judged me and found me lacking. He didn't say much, just watched, waiting for me to screw up. Then there was Sarah Lee, the top student, the campus ice queen. Olivia introduced me, cheerful as ever. "Hey James, this is Sarah, my best friend. She's number one in the whole school. You can ask her anything." I reached out to shake hands, trying to be polite. She didn't even look up. "If you've got time to talk," she muttered, "you could be doing 2 more problem sets." Dang. Cold. But also kinda impressive. Olivia scolded her. "Sarah, come on. He's my friend." I shrugged. "It's fine. The old number one resents the new number one. It's only natural." Both girls just stared at me. I expected a fireball. Instead, I got an unexpected twist. After lunch, the teacher reshuffled seating charts based on our entry scores. Guess who became my new desk partner? Sarah. Yup. Ice Queen herself. She leaned over, pointed at my score, and said, "The current number one definitely has a problem with being desk mates with the current no. Last." I looked her dead in the eye. "Don't worry, Sarah. I'll rise fast enough to catch up." But truth be told, I was terrified. Even Uncle Lee, our family driver, was out of commission because of hemorrhoid surgery, so I had to ride the bus for once. Olivia, of course, stepped in. "Come with me. Our house is on the way." I thanked her and corrected her nickname. "Not Prince anymore. I'm the Emperor now." She blinked. "Wait, what?" But she smiled like someone trying not to laugh during a serious meeting. That afternoon, Sarah joined our ride too, claiming her driver was busy. The 3 of us crammed into one car, awkward but manageable until someone knocked on the window. Emily Carter. Yeah. Her. She stared at me, her eyes full of unspoken judgment. "I came to offer you a ride." Since Uncle Lee's out, I thought, "No thanks," I cut her off. "I've got company." Her face twisted like she swallowed glass. She snapped, "You left me without saying goodbye, transferred schools, and now what? You're too good for me." Olivia dropped her book accidentally and fired back, "If this school is shabby, what's your school? A landfill?" Sarah didn't say anything, but she quietly handed me a sheet of practice questions. Focus. I highlighted your weak areas. Emily was left standing there, humiliated. As we drove off, I took off my headphones and told Olivia, "Your loyalty shall be rewarded. You've done a great service to the Empire." She beamed. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I won't let you down." I glanced sideways at Sarah, who gave me a blank look like I was an idiot, but she didn't protest. That was her way of showing approval. I was starting to realize something: my old life with Emily had crumbled for a reason. And this new world? It wasn't going to hand me anything, but it was mine to conquer. After that car ride showdown, word spread fast through Jefferson High that the Emperor had brought 2 court ladies to war against an exiled queen. But I didn't care. Let them gossip. My focus was fixed on reclaiming my academic throne. I started carrying a small notebook to track every mistake, every concept I didn't understand, every weird look Sarah Lee threw my way when I fumbled a basic problem. My pride stung like a scraped knee, but I wasn't about to limp out of this. Olivia continued to bring me study snacks and guidance with that radiant smile of hers, while Sarah, after a bit more frost, slowly began tolerating my existence. Though, her version of kindness was telling me I was dumb without saying the word dumb. One afternoon, I bombed a math quiz 8 out of 10 questions wrong, and the math teacher sighed like I'd personally insulted her ancestors. She told me to come see her after class, and of course, I was excited, because that meant extra help. Only problem? I had to pass by Sarah's seat every time, and she didn't take too kindly to being woken up from her midday nap. On the 3rd day in a row of disturbing her royal slumber, she snapped. "If you don't get it, I'll teach you." Happy now? I pretended to think about it, then nodded graciously. "I'll accept your generosity, Teacher Sarah." She rolled her eyes, but that was basically a hug in her language. 2 days later, while she was explaining a tricky question to me, she suddenly clutched her chest dramatically. I blinked. You okay? She looked me dead in the eyes and said, I think you gave me heart arrhythmia. I froze, unsure if she was joking, flirting, or accusing me of attempted murder. I quickly handed her the milk I'd brought. Here, calm your imperial nerves. I'll try harder next time. She took the bottle without a word, but her silence was louder than any thank you. I began wondering if the milk from my dad's factory was some kind of social currency. I gave it to Olivia because I thought it tasted terrible, but now Sarah was hoarding it like gold. The next day, I brought another bottle, one for each of them. As I handed Olivia hers, Sarah glanced up, caught the scene, and scowled like I'd just committed treason. When I tried to chat with her later, she ignored me completely. I sighed. Guess I had to resort to desperate measures. Time for Operation Coax the Tsunami. I had this thing called dermographism. Basically, I could draw on my skin and it would welt up for a while. So I took a pen, wrote, "Don't be mad, I'll bring yours tomorrow," on my arm, and slid it under her desk. Sarah shrieked like I'd waved a live snake at her. You're allergic, she gasped. I calmly explained, nope, doesn't hurt. It's just skin writing. I'm fine. She stared at me, lips pressed tight like she wanted to yell but couldn't decide if it was worth the energy. You're insane, she muttered. I'm trying to apologize, I replied, offering her the pen like a peace treaty. After a dramatic sigh, she finally relented. Fine. You can ask me questions from now on, but never do that again. I nodded solemnly, like I'd just been knighted. From that day on, we had an unspoken truce. At least until the carpool incident. Uncle Lee was still recovering, so I continued riding with Olivia. But one morning, Sarah joined us again, and just as we were about to leave, a familiar voice called out, James Walker, who are they? I turned to see Emily Carter standing at the gate, eyes narrowed, expression sour. Her sudden appearance was like watching a deleted scene from a show you thought was over. She pretended she just happened to be in the neighborhood and offered me a ride. I declined. She didn't take it well. So this is what you've become. You ditch me, transfer to this no-name school, and ride around with other girls. Olivia, ever the firecracker, tossed her hair and said, if this is a no-name school, then yours must be a landfill. Sarah didn't even flinch. Instead, she pulled out a new set of listening comprehension exercises and shoved them into my hands. These are tailored to your weak areas. Focus on the circled sections. I blinked, stunned by her timing. Olivia huffed, seriously? I just offended your royal face and you won't even look at me. I pulled out my earbuds, nodded gratefully, and said, Olivia, your contributions to the Empire shall be rewarded handsomely. Her eyes lit up. Thank you, Your Majesty. I shall continue to serve faithfully. Sarah rolled her eyes, but the corners of her mouth twitched upward ever so slightly. Emily. She stood there, fuming, as the car drove off. Honestly, that should have been the end of it. But of course, she wasn't done. That weekend, while scrolling through my social feed, I saw Emily post an official relationship announcement with Ryan Kim. The caption? I'd rather be a commoner's wife than a prince's concubine. Really, Emily? Pulling me off the block just to slap me in the face with a public post. Cute. I didn't like it, didn't comment, didn't respond. I just kept scrolling. Next post. A pic of a motorcycle ride with some quote about, love is freedom. Unoriginal. Next. Then came one of Olivia skating in a lilac dress, graceful like a figure skater from a magazine. I couldn't help it. I liked the photo and left a comment, great form, flawless lines, looks like a Vogue cover. Very easy on the eyes. A second later, Sarah replied under the post, I only liked your selfie because it was brave to post a face like that. Don't overthink it. Ouch. I chuckled. 2 seconds later, my phone rang. Emily again. So, she said, voice tight, nothing you want to say to me? No, I replied flatly. She scoffed. I thought you'd apologize and we could be friends again. I didn't think you'd be this cold. Don't worry, me boyfriend doesn't want me talking to you anyway. Then goodbye, I said, and hung up. I blocked her after that. Should have done it sooner. But a good emperor waits. He observes, gathers intelligence, and then acts with precision. That night, as I reviewed my notes, Sarah posted a new set of math challenges on her feed. Find at least 2 solutions if you're really improving. I didn't even hesitate. I grabbed my pen and started solving them, one by one. Hours flew by, and by the time I finished, it was already dawn. I passed out with a smile on my face. Growth, real growth, feels different. You don't need anyone else to cheer. You just know. And hey, my latest exam results. I wasn't dead last anymore. I was second to last. Not much, but enough. Olivia hugged me when she saw it. You see? That's progress, Your Majesty. 32 more points than last time. Even Sarah agreed. You're catching up. Don't stop. But not everyone was celebrating. Nathan Reed, ever the hater, scoffed. You sure that result is real? I find it hard to believe someone like you didn't cheat. Olivia stepped forward, ready to snap, but I raised a hand. So you're saying I cheated? I asked calmly. Nathan adjusted his glasses. I didn't say that. But if there's cheating in this class, it'll be exposed. The temperature dropped. The classroom went silent. Then a few students began speaking up. James works hard. He's serious. He helps with questions. No way he cheated. Another added, he's got good intuition. Helped me find a new method on a problem last week. Nathan's expression wavered. I stepped closer and said quietly, do you know what happened to the last person who accused me of cheating? His jaw tensed. What? You gonna throw your daddy's money at me? He barked. The whole class was watching now. I didn't blink. Nope. But if you really think I'm a fraud, talk to the teacher. Or sit back and let the results speak for themselves. The teacher walked in at that moment and the tension broke. But something about the way Nathan looked at me shifted. A few days later, Sarah pulled me aside and told me why Nathan was acting that way. He got beat up during a math competition at your old school, she said. Some girl broke his glasses. A guy stood up for her and hit him. He thinks it was you. I blinked. What? No way. The girl who broke his glasses, she added, is Emily Carter. The one who showed up at the gate. Suddenly, it all made sense. The shade, the cold stares, the bitterness. This wasn't about me. This was about a ghost from his past. I shook my head. Man, drama follows me like a Netflix series. But I wasn't backing down. I'd survived betrayal, exile, false accusations, and the wrath of teenage girls. Jefferson High was my new kingdom, and I was going to rule it with style. Let the next challenge come. I'm ready. Just when I thought things at Jefferson High were finally stabilizing, me grades improving, Sarah being less icy, Olivia showing up like sunshine in my shadow, and even Nathan Reed toning down his judgmental glares, life decided to test me again, this time with a plot twist no prep book could have warned me about. It started with a normal morning, which should have been my first clue that something was about to go sideways. I was a little late to school because I missed the bus, and Uncle Lee was still recovering from surgery, so I figured I'd take a shortcut through an alley to make up time. That's where I saw a girl slumped on the ground, choking, her hands clutching her throat, her face pale as paper. I didn't think, I just acted. I rushed to her, used the Heimlich maneuver, patted her back until she could breathe again, and watched her collapse into a sitting position, dazed but alive. She tried to thank me, even said something about sending a banner to my house to express her gratitude, but I shut her down immediately. After what happened last time when a thank you turned into blackmail, I wasn't about to risk it again. I told her to go home, stay safe, and not mention this to anyone. Then I rushed off to class, thinking nothing of it. Until later that week, when I got called into the teacher's office and was met with a cold stare from my homeroom teacher. She held up a phone, showed me a blurry video of me in that alley, standing over the girl, saying something about not telling her parents. The angle made it look like I was threatening her. I froze. "Is there something you want to explain, James?" she asked, her voice tight. "Because from what I'm seeing, this looks a lot like bullying." My heart dropped to my stomach. "That's not what happened," I said quickly. "I saved her." She was choking, and I helped her breathe again. She raised a brow. "Then why the secrecy?" I sighed. "Because last time I saved someone, I got blamed for something I didn't do. I just wanted to avoid the drama." She folded her arms. "Do you know who filmed this?" "No," I said. "And I'm not trying to make trouble. I'll find the girl and get her to tell you herself." She stared at me, trying to read if I was lying. "You have one day," she said. "And if this turns out to be something else, you'll face consequences. Real ones." That's when it clicked. I was being framed. Again. And this time, it could wreck everything I'd built. I stormed out of the office and gathered the squad. Olivia, Sarah, Nathan. Yes, even Nathan. After explaining the situation, Olivia slammed her hand on the desk and declared, "We're investigating this. Nobody messes with our emperor." Sarah pulled out a notepad like an FBI agent and asked me to describe the girl. "Let's be efficient about this," she said. Nathan muttered something about karmic retribution under his breath, but I let it slide. I was too focused. Olivia and Sarah worked with the school admin to pull surveillance footage from the gates, and eventually, we matched the girl to a sophomore named Madison Chen. Apparently, she hadn't been at school since the incident, but we got her contact info through a friend of a friend. Meanwhile, I retraced my steps, walking back to the alley to look for other evidence. That's when I noticed the row of parked cars nearby. If one of them had a dashcam running, there was a chance it caught the whole thing. I called my dad. "On it," he said, like I'd just asked him to pull market data for a billion-dollar merger. While I waited for results, I went home to rest. It was technically my day off, but I couldn't stop thinking. I tried to relax by doing calculus problems, muttering threats at each function like they were political enemies. Polar coordinates. "You think you can embarrass me in front of Sarah? I'll rewrite your whole bloodline." Somewhere around derivative number 5, I heard a knock on the window. I looked up to see two familiar faces peeking through the glass: Olivia with her trademark mischievous smile and Sarah with her usual calm poker face. "Thought we'd check on you," Olivia said, climbing in like it was normal. Sarah followed, took one look at my desk, and said, "Which questions are you stuck on?" I pointed. She snatched the worksheet from my hand, pulled up a chair, and started lecturing me without waiting. Olivia sat cross-legged on my bed, tossing almonds into her mouth and nodding like we were in some live study session. The moment felt oddly warm. Safe. I didn't even realize how much I needed that until it happened. The next morning, Madison showed up at school with a banner. A real one. "To James Walker, hero of Jefferson High," it read in cursive. She marched into the admin office and demanded justice. "He saved my life," she said. "Whoever spread that video should be ashamed." My dad also called me, telling me he'd contacted the car owner who had dashcam footage. The entire rescue was caught in 1080p. There was no mistaking it. I'd been the good guy all along. We handed over the footage to the school. The principal watched it, blinked a few times, then sighed. "James, I owe you an apology." But it wasn't just an apology. My homeroom teacher called a special class meeting. "Students," she said, facing all of us, "I wrongly accused James of bullying based on a misleading video. He was actually performing a rescue. I judged him too quickly. I apologize sincerely." The room broke into applause. I nodded, accepting the apology like a seasoned politician. Then I stood up and gave everyone a thank you gift: a bottle of the infamous milk. Even Nathan got one. He took it without comment, looking uncharacteristically solemn. Later, I found him alone in the hallway, staring at the floor. I tapped his shoulder. "You good?" He looked up, eyes glossy, then dropped to his knees. "I was the one who sent the video," he confessed. "I didn't know the context. I thought you were hurting her. I just assumed." I blinked. "Get up," I said, tugging at his sleeve. "What are you doing?" "I'm sorry," he said, refusing to move. I screwed up. I dragged him into an empty stairwell and said, "You thought I was a monster because someone else hurt you. But you can't punish people for the ghosts in your past." He nodded slowly. "You're right." I told him the story of my own childhood, how I'd been bullied by my cousin, how Emily once stood up for me, how I'd thought she was the one until she betrayed me. "We all have scars," I said. "But we don't have to let them turn us into villains." Nathan sniffed and muttered, "Then this prince is stronger than I thought." I chuckled. "It's not about being a prince. It's about remembering that even if you're turned into a frog, you're still royal blood. Gold is gold, whether people see it or not." He smiled, nodded, and offered me his soup the next day. I took it. It was amazing. "My mom made it," he said proudly. I grinned. "Tell her she's got 5 stars from the Emperor." From then on, things shifted. Nathan joined our study group. Sarah started assigning me personalized worksheets. Olivia, jealous as always, tried to one-up them with elaborate flashcards and notes. Our group grew tighter. Stronger. Smarter. We walked under the trees after school, our shadows growing longer, our jokes louder. The winter deepened, and so did our bond. And somewhere along the way, I realized this wasn't just some comeback story. This was the start of something bigger. The kingdom was taking shape. The crown wasn't just mine to wear. It was mine to earn. Ever since Nathan joined the squad, things got interesting. Our lunch table looked more like a political summit than a group of teens trying to survive calculus. Sarah Lee brought boiled vegetables and sliced fruit with color-coded notes on glycemic index. Olivia you came in with gourmet boxes prepared by her private chef, always claiming, "This one helps with memory. Eat this and you'll crush the physics test." Nathan? He brought soup. Every single day. Black chicken, bone broth, weird herbal stuff that smelled like it came from a wizard's pantry. He always pushed the bowl toward me with a half-grumble, half-pride expression, like, "I don't care if you like it, but also you better love it." And I did. I really did. It was weird. This weird family we were forming. Our study group turned into something deeper than academic survival. There were moments when Olivia would scribble notes beside me and sneak glances when she thought I wasn't looking. Moments when Sarah would pretend to yawn and rest her chin in her palm just to hide the way her eyes lingered a second too long. And then there was Nathan, who still hadn't emotionally recovered from my 5-star soup compliment and was now in full, "I will personally make sure you become valedictorian" mode. But just when everything felt calm, when I was starting to feel like I finally found my place, chaos walked right back in through the front door in the form of Emily Carter. It was New Year's week. Our house was decorated top to bottom in red, gold, and everything sparkly. Dad had thrown himself into full, suburban billionaire in celebration mode. Red envelopes, roast duck, lucky dumplings, the whole 9 yards. Olivia, Sarah, and Nathan were all coming over for a proper New Year meal, and I was even helping Dad cook. That was until the doorbell rang. I opened it, and there she was. Emily. Holding a neatly wrapped tea cake, Dad's favorite, and looking like she'd spent the entire morning rehearsing her lines in front of a mirror. "Happy New Year," she said, avoiding my eyes. "I came to apologize. For everything." My dad poked his head out of the kitchen, still wearing an apron, and froze. His smile dropped faster than a crashing stock. "Oh," he said. "Isn't this the one who insulted our family on social media? We can't afford guests like you." I gave him a look. "Dad, it's New Year. Let's be civilized." He grumbled and went back to the kitchen. I let Emily in. We sat in awkward silence, the tea cake between us like a peace offering wrapped in guilt. She finally broke the silence. My dad asked me to come. Said our families still have business ties and it's best to not leave things too messy. So this is business, not sincerity, I said. She flinched. I didn't mean it like that. I just. She swallowed hard. I just wanted to see you again. Say sorry. I shouldn't have accused you back then. I shouldn't have pushed you away. I nodded. Are you still with Ryan Kim? She blinked fast. No. We were never really. I just posted that to make you angry. He was a jerk. He hit me, actually. In public. People talked. It got messy. I didn't say anything. I didn't gloat. I didn't throw her mistakes back in her face. I just said, I hope you're okay now. She nodded, biting her lip. Do you still care about me? The question just sat there, heavy, uncomfortable. I was about to respond when chaos blessed, glorious chaos came charging through the front door. Oh wow, Olivia's voice rang out, all honeyed sarcasm. Is this the legendary crown princess? She sauntered in, red silk jacket, hair pinned up with the silver hairpin I once gave her. Sarah followed behind, cool as always, Nathan awkwardly holding a fruit basket like he wasn't sure what to do with his hands. You look amazing, I told Olivia instinctively, eyes catching the way her earrings shimmered in the hallway light. Red really suits you. Her cheeks tinted slightly. If your majesty likes it, I'll wear it more often. Emily stood, visibly shrinking. What's going on? Olivia turned to her, smile fading. Just wondering why you're here. You had your chance. You chose your side. Don't expect a crown after betraying the palace. Sarah grabbed my arm gently and whispered, I made a new study packet for you. Want to go check it out upstairs? I nodded, eager for the escape. As we headed up, I heard Emily call out my name. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. I'd already closed that chapter. Upstairs, Sarah handed me a packet of practice questions with her usual sharp efficiency, but there was a softness in her tone. These are based on your last exam errors. I highlighted the patterns. Let me know where you struggle. I stared at her. How do you always know what I need before I even ask? She smiled, barely. Observation. And maybe. Because I care. Before I could answer, Olivia stormed in, arms crossed. You tricked me, she barked at Sarah. You knew I wasn't ready and you still dragged me here late on purpose. I did nothing of the sort, Sarah said calmly. Besides, James made his choice. I merely provided study materials. You sly snake, Olivia muttered. You act like you don't care, but you're 10 steps ahead every time. Nathan peeked in behind her. Should I come back later? Or do I need to call for backup? I sighed and flopped on the bed. Can we all not fight for like 5 minutes? It's a holiday. Olivia pointed dramatically. I was the first to support you when you transferred. I fought the gate battle. I kicked Emily out like a true knight. And I wrote him custom test sets tailored to his academic deficiencies, Sarah said, unbothered. That's real investment. Nathan muttered, I gave him soup. Homemade. From the heart. They all looked at each other. Then at me. I blinked. Y'all do realize this is starting to sound like an imperial harem fight, right? Silence. Then Nathan said, you have no status, and you're not even officially dating him. This isn't the palace. It's a high school. Calm down. And just like that, both girls turned their verbal swords on him. I slipped out before it escalated into fireworks. Speaking of which, later that night, we actually did light real fireworks. Nathan had snuck in a few from his cousin's stash. Olivia cheered like a kid every time one went off. Sarah smiled quietly, hands clasped behind her back. I just stood there, looking up at the sky, fireworks reflecting in my eyes. Emily was long gone by then. I'd heard her parents were sending her overseas for college. Ryan too. Apparently, he'd choked during exams and lashed out, causing a scandal. Some say he even got expelled. When I saw a post from Emily the next day, her boarding pass, her caption saying, "Goodbye to everything, hello to new beginnings," I just hit like and moved on. That was it. No more bitterness. No more what-ifs. No more pieces of myself tangled up in someone who didn't see my worth when it mattered. Now I had Sarah giving me pop quizzes mid-lunch, Olivia slipping inspirational notes into my pencil case, Nathan leaving hand-labeled flash drives with old SAT questions on my desk. We weren't just classmates anymore. We were a unit. A team. A dynasty. And the college board? They had no idea what was coming. After New Year's, it was like someone flipped a switch. Jefferson High transformed from a pressure cooker into a rocket launch pad. Everyone was grinding hard, especially the seniors. The air itself smelled like caffeine, stress, and ambition. The desks were no longer just furniture, they were battlegrounds. Our little group didn't escape the madness, either. In fact, we leaned right into it. Sarah Lee started designing full-week study plans for me, color-coded with post-it tabs that read things like, "Kill this topic," or "Don't screw this up." Olivia took it upon herself to emotionally nourish me by leaving energy drinks, protein bars, and occasionally a handwritten quote taped to my locker. Nathan Reed made flashcard decks that were better than any prep book money could buy. Every night, our group chat exploded with practice question screenshots, debate threads over obscure formulas, and mutual virtual yelling when someone miscalculated a derivative. But honestly, I was thriving. I'd gone from a transfer student ranked dead last to a legitimate contender. Teachers started calling me the dark horse, which was flattering until I realized it meant they were all shocked I wasn't still failing. But I didn't mind. Let them underestimate me. Kings are forged in the shadows. Sarah, Olivia, and Nathan were right there with me, pulling me through the burn. And as the final months rolled in, the vibe subtly shifted, less like schoolmates, more like comrades in arms. Then came the college acceptance letters. Sarah got into Harvard, no surprise to anyone except maybe herself, who stared at the email like it personally insulted her. Nathan and I both got accepted into Yale. Olivia? She dropped the bomb on us during lunch, casually announcing she'd been admitted early to Columbia and was heading to New York. I looked at her, stunned. "You're leaving?" She smiled, but there was something tight in her eyes. "Yeah. Full ride. Can't say no." "When?" I asked. "Right after graduation. My dad's already booked the apartment." Silence stretched across the table. Sarah quietly pushed her rice around. Nathan just stared at his soup like it had betrayed him. I didn't know what to say. Olivia had always been here. Always beside me. And now she was going. I told myself to be happy for her. But something inside me twisted. My dad, of course, was ecstatic about my results. He threw a graduation party before I even finished finals. Reserved a private room at the best steakhouse in town, ordered enough food to feed an army, and sent out invitations like I'd just won a Nobel. "This is the celebration of a future emperor," he declared, lifting his whiskey glass. "My son, the pride of the Walker family. From the bottom to the top. You made history." I smiled, but my eyes kept drifting to the corner of the room where Olivia sat, unusually quiet. Sarah noticed too. She leaned over and whispered, "She hasn't said much since we got here." "Yeah," I muttered. "Something's off." After dinner, I pulled Olivia aside to the balcony. She stood with her back to me, staring out at the skyline. "You okay?" I asked. She didn't turn around. "You know, I used to wish your dad was my dad." I blinked. "Wait, what?" She finally faced me. "He's always so proud of you. Supportive. Even when you failed, he believed you'd rise again." My dad just sends money and conference links. It's not the same. I stepped closer. You want to swap dads? I'm open to negotiations. She smiled, a little. Then she looked me dead in the eyes and said, I'm scared. Of what? I asked. Of leaving. Of not being there when you finally realize. She stopped. Bit her lip. I waited. She didn't continue. Before I could press her, Sarah appeared, holding a thick packet of mock test papers. James, I analyzed your weak points from the last exam and made this for you, she said with zero sense of timing. Olivia's eyes darkened. Seriously? Now? What? Sarah blinked. It's a review set. Important. Olivia turned to me. She's so good at everything, isn't she? Always 5 steps ahead. Always perfect. Stop, I said, trying to calm the tension. No one's perfect. Yeah. Olivia snapped. Then why do you always pick her? I was stunned. Pick? Olivia, I didn't pick anyone. She turned and stormed off before I could respond. Sarah stood awkwardly, unsure if she should chase or stay. I sighed. She's just emotional about leaving. Sarah handed me the test packet, her expression unreadable. Just make sure you know what you want before she's gone. Days passed like minutes. Exams rolled in like waves. The SATs. APs. Final projects. The last bell of the last day rang like the end of an era. Graduation happened in a blur of caps, speeches, and yearbook scribbles. I barely remember walking across the stage. What I do remember is Olivia not showing up to the afterparty. She sent a message in the group chat, had to pack. Flights tomorrow. No goodbye. No hug. No last joke. Just silence. It hit me harder than I expected. But what could I do? She made her choice. Or maybe I failed to make mine. On move-out day, I was helping my dad clear the garage when I found it an old shoebox filled with old photos and letters. One of them was a drawing Olivia had made when we were 10. A cartoon version of me wearing a crown, her beside me in a dress, holding a banner that read, Queen of Snacks. I chuckled. My phone buzzed. A new post from Emily Carter. Off to London. Here's to fresh starts and leaving the past behind. I didn't click like. Didn't comment. Just kept scrolling. Then I saw Sarah's update, accepted into Harvard's honors program. Let's work hard, everyone. Then, hours later, one last notification. Olivia had posted a photo of the New York skyline from her dorm, captioned, New city, same me. Maybe one day, someone will figure out what they missed. I stared at it for a long time. Then I finally typed a reply, maybe he already did. Just too late. No response. I leaned back, staring at the ceiling. I'd won the academic war. Conquered my kingdom. But for the first time, I wondered if I'd fumbled the only crown that mattered. Time didn't stop just because I was confused, and summer had a way of speeding up everything when you were trying to figure yourself out. The results for the National College entrance rankings came out on a Thursday, and my dad, who swore he wasn't nervous, was literally shaking while burning incense in the backyard, muttering things like, please let the ancestors see what kind of genius this family produced. I tried to play it cool, casually refreshing the results page every 5 seconds while pretending I didn't care, but when the line, top 50 in the state, popped up with my name attached to it, I just froze. My dad, on the other hand, screamed like a man who just won the lottery and lost 10 years of aging in 1 second. Top 50, he shouted into the phone, pacing in circles like a madman. My son, the Walker bloodline is what I'm talking about. Haters said we were just nouveau riche. Guess what? My kid just slapped M with Ivy League level grades. I should have been riding high, and honestly, I was. But a part of me still kept checking my phone, hoping maybe Olivia you would text, maybe say something, anything, even a sarcastic line about how milk turned out to be the secret to success. But nothing came. Sarah Lee and I still talk. She congratulated me through a video call from her summer program at Harvard. She looked like she was thriving, as expected. Confident, calm, elegant. The kind of girl who always had a plan and rarely looked back. Nathan Reed. Still sending me random trivia and test questions, even though finals were over. He'd changed a lot since the beginning of the year, softer, more balanced. He even joined a student forum to mentor underclassmen, which honestly was kind of wholesome. Me? I was preparing to move into my dorm at Yale. My dad insisted we drive there together and make it a road trip, just like the movies. I let him have it. He deserved the win. During the drive, he asked about Olivia. I didn't know how to answer. She's in New York, I said, keeping my eyes on the road. Columbia. He hummed. You never said goodbye, huh? She didn't either, I replied, quieter than I meant to. Maybe that's the goodbye. We pulled into the city 2 days later. My dorm was better than I expected. Sunlight through wide windows, minimalist furniture, a fresh start in every corner. As we unpacked, my dad handed me a small box. Found this while cleaning out the garage, he said. Figured it might belong to your story. Inside was the drawing Olivia made when we were kids, the one with me in a crown and her beside me with a giant banner that read, Queen of Snacks. For a second, I just stared at it. My dad chuckled. You've been surrounded by some strong women, huh? Yeah, I said, smiling faintly. And one crazy soup guy. I placed the drawing inside my desk drawer like a silent time capsule. The first week of college flew by. Orientation, new faces, endless lectures about balancing life and workload. I fell into rhythm quickly. The emperor never sleeps, even in a new kingdom. But still, I kept thinking about Olivia. And then it happened. A message. Simple. Unassuming. From her. Hey. Random question. What's your take on the subway here? Asking for a girl who nearly passed out trying to navigate uptown. My fingers hovered over the screen for a second before I replied. Bold of you to assume I've mastered the Yale shuttle, let alone New York subway system. But I'll trade advice for coffee. 3 dots appeared. Then, deal. We met halfway, somewhere between campus chaos and city blur. She wore her hair up, same mischievous smirk, but her eyes were softer. Tired, maybe. Or maybe just less guarded. So, she said as we sat across from each other. How's life as a top 50 genius? Same crown, bigger empire, I said. She laughed. That sound. I didn't realize how much I missed it. And you? I asked. Ruling New York yet? Trying, she shrugged. It's loud. Lonely. Competitive. Perfect, really. We sipped our coffee in silence for a moment. Then she leaned forward. James. Back then. Why didn't you stop me? I looked at her, really looked. Because you were already walking away. And I was too busy pretending I didn't care. Do you? She asked. Care, I mean. I do, I said, no hesitation this time. I always did. Her lips parted slightly, as if she wasn't expecting honesty. Then why now? Because for once, I said, I know exactly what I want. I'm not the same guy you left at graduation. I'm not chasing validation anymore. I'm not trying to prove I belong. I already know I do. She smiled, slow and warm. Took you long enough, Your Majesty. Better late than never, I replied. Still got that banner? In my dorm, she said. Framed. We both laughed. The tension melted away like it was never there. And in that moment, sitting in a cramped coffee shop in the middle of a city neither of us had mastered yet, I felt something settle inside me. Not victory. Not pride. Just peace. Over the next few weeks, we didn't rush anything. No big declarations, no dramatic scenes. Just quiet mornings, late-night calls, shared playlists, competitive Wordle scores. We grew into each other again, not as prince and queen, but as equals. As people who'd walked through fire and come out stronger. When winter break came, I visited Sarah at Harvard. She met me with her usual deadpan delivery, still alive? Shocking. We caught up over hot chocolate and academic gossip. I thanked her for being the person who challenged me when I needed it most. She raised an eyebrow. You mean when I insulted your intelligence daily? Exactly, I grinned. Pure motivation. Nathan joined us virtually, showing off his new tutoring website. You're all welcome for the emotional support I provided, he said, sipping soup dramatically on camera. Don't forget who healed the emperor's soul. We won't, I promised. Soup lives matter. We laughed, all of us. Scattered across cities but still connected by something deeper than friendship. We were each other's proof that even in the mess of youth crushes, heartbreaks, failures, misunderstandings, something beautiful could be built. A few weeks later, I got an email from my dad. A video. It was a slideshow of all my achievements, my test scores, school awards, old photos with friends. At the end, he added a quote. Under my son's rule, the rivers and seas are calm, the years are peaceful, and the legacy lives on. I didn't cry. Not really. But I sat there for a long time, holding my phone like it was a piece of my past I didn't want to let go of. And as I stared out the window at the snow falling over campus, I whispered the words I'd said once before, back when I had no clue what was coming. From now on, everything will be smooth sailing. And this time, I believed it.